Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Arabic alphabet course. Today we'll be doing the lesson number 11. So let's begin. Today we're going to learn about the next two Arabic alphabets, which is Taa and Zhaa. This is Taa and this is Zhaa. Taa, Zhaa. They have the exact same body, but Zhaa has one dot on top. This is Zhaa and it has one dot on top, to the right of the line, which is on the right of the line. Ta is not the ta we know from the ba, ta, za, ba, ta and sa. This is not the ta. The ba, ta, sa, ta is like this. It has a body and then two dots. Okay? But this is not the ba, ta, sa, la. This ta. This has a more, this is different from ba, ta. Okay? It's a more different sound. It's pa. Zha sounds like zal and zay, but Zha is much deeper of either of those two. Zha, this one which has a dot, it sounds very much like zal, or zay, but it is very deep. It's Zha. It's not so simple. It's a lot more deeper than that. Zha. Now let us see some important differences between ta and ta. Ta is a much thicker version of ta. Ta is pronounced the same way as ta. You touch the part where your front teeth makes your gums. But there are subtle differences. When you pronounce ta, your lips are flat. It's like a small smile. You don't have to make it round or something. But when you pronounce ta, the lips form a circle and the sound becomes much thicker. This is the difference between ta and ta. As I said, ta is a much deeper and thicker version of ta. So when you pronounce ta, your lips are flat. This is not deep, they're not even thick, it's very flat. But when you pronounce ta, it's much more thicker and your lips literally form a circle. The sound becomes more and more thicker. So that's the difference between ta and ta. Ta is a much thicker version of ta, and when you pronounce ta, the lips are flat. But when you pronounce ta, your lips have to become a circle, and so the sound becomes much more thicker. Okay, so we learned the difference between ta and ta. But what's the difference between zal and dha? Even in the sound is different. But there are a little bit more differences. Va is a much deeper version of zal. Va is a much deeper version of zal. Va and zal are pronounced pretty much the same, just like ta and ta. But there are certain differences. Okay, let's look at the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue touches the bottom of your top central incisors. Dental knowledge here. Dental people will be shocked. Central incisors means literally your front teeth, okay? Central incisors is your top front teeth. Top front teeth. Like same way when you pronounce zal, you touch your bottom of your top front teeth. Similarly, when you pronounce va, you have to touch the bottom of your front teeth, which is central incisors. But there are some differences. When you pronounce va, your lips form a circle and the sound becomes thicker. Va. Thicker. Your lips form a circle. Thicker, just like ta. But when you pronounce zal, it does not form a circle at all. It stays flat. Flat means no circle. The sound is very thin. It's not thicker or fatter, okay? When you pronounce va, your lips form a circle and it becomes thicker. But when you pronounce zal, it does not form a circle at all. It stays flat. That's the difference between va and zal. Even though they both are pronounced from the same part of the mouth, they have a different way of pronouncing. This one is more thicker and this one is flat. Va, zal. Va, zal. And zay comes from a completely different part of the mouth. It comes much backer. It's not so much, your tongue is not so much front. It comes from behind, okay? Zay, va, and zal. Zay, va, zal. Alright? Okay, now let's look at the four forms of ta and va. By itself, or its original form, ta is like this. It's a loop followed by a line. At the beginning, it's same. At the middle, it's same, but it has an extension. And at the end, it's same. So you see that Taa is almost the same in every single thing. The only difference is a little bit of lines. Over here, behind there's one line. Over here in the front and behind there's a line. And over here in the front there's a line. So the only difference in each case of Taa is the lines, right? Always the central body is very same. So it's you can easily identify Taa and Zhaa. Okay, you can easily identify Taa and Zhaa because their shapes remains the same. It's not like ba or ta which changes a little bit. It's exactly the same. There's hardly any difference at all. So finding Taa and Zhaa in a piece of paper will be a piece of cake. Okay. Now examples, because no one is going to leave without examples. I will find examples for you all. So talaqa. This is the first example for the beginning case. The original form doesn't have any examples because that's the original form of Taa. How can you find examples for that? In the middle, we have mutlaqa. Actually, mutlaqun. Okay, so this is the middle version. And in the end, you can clearly see the Taa, right, people? In the beginning version, there is this loop followed by a vertical line. In the middle, it's followed by a vertical line, a loop followed by a vertical line, and in the end, we'll see. It's a common Urdu word even. Khat. Khat. So this is Kha and this is Ta. So you can see at the end, it's actually in every single form, it's same. Pa in every single form is same, and same goes for Zha. If you just put a dot here, it will look same in every single form. Okay, so Pa and Zha remain the same almost in every single form. They are just depending upon the place, they are just having lines, a little bit of extensions. Can you see those extensions? Over here it's in the beginning, over here it's in the middle and the following letter, and over here it's just at the front letter. It's not even at the back letter. Okay. So Pa and Zha are similar, very similar in each form. That's why we should remember the dots. The dots are very important. Pa has no dots and Zha has one dot on the right side of the vertical line. So we see that in each and every form, the Pa remains almost the same and even the Zha remains almost the same. This will make it very easy to identify it in the Arabic alphabet text. The Taa Zha vertical and the Taa Zha body is a loop, which I showed you, followed by a vertical line, which I showed you. The loop of the Taa Zha body is a lot like the loop of Sad and Dad, but there's a bump. Now what bump is he talking about? This bump is like this. See, when you go, this is like Taa Zha loop, right? But when you put like this and like this, it becomes Zad or Sad. So can you see this bump over here? This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen in which case? In the case of Taa. In the case of Taa, there is no small standing line over here. It's just one long vertical line. It's just like this and then like this. So you see Sad, Taa. The loop are similar, but there is no small bump. Do not confuse the line of Taa Zha with the Alif. We see Alif is like this, a straight line, where the line of Taa and Zha looks similar, doesn't it? The line of Taa and Zha looks very similar as Alif, but it's important that we do not confuse it with Alif, because the line of Taa will always have a loop of Taa underneath it. Loop of Taa will always have a loop of Taa before it. Yeah, the line of the vertical line will always have a loop of Taa, but the alif doesn't have any such loop, right? The alif will not have the loop. So if you see a line followed by a loop, then think it's a Taa. There should be a loop and then a line. Then think it's a Taa. If there's no loop, there's just a standing line, then that's alif. Okay? Now let's look at the guidelines to writing the Taa and Zha. Start from a point. Okay, so let's start from a point. This is a point. Make a loop by going up and to the right and then complete the row. This means that you have to take this point, go up like this, come back, and meet the point. Now, when the loop is done, draw the vertical line from top to bottom. So, draw the vertical line like this. There, the Taa is complete. The line of Taa, Zhaa is usually done when you're done with the words, just like the dotting of I's and the crossing of T's in the English language. So when you're writing in cursive, so let's write in cursive. When you're writing, for example, a tin, it's a small word, a tin. But when you look at this doesn't look like a tin, it looks like an L. So after you complete the whole word in cursive writing, you cross your T's and you put a dot on the I, right? Similarly, in the Arabic alphabet, if you write this version of the Arabic alphabet, it will be like this. This will be word, and this will be some other letter, and this will be the other letter. So you see, now once you're done with the whole word, this is the whole word, what you have to do is you just go back and put a vertical line. Just like after you finish the tin, after you finish the whole word tin, you cross your T's and put the dot, right? Similarly, after finishing writing the whole word, you have to put a vertical line. Okay, so after you finish the whole word, you can put a vertical line on top of it. This is especially important because unlike English, where there's an option to write cursively or non-cursively, in the Arabic language you can only write like this, joining the words. You can only write what's known as Arabic cursively. Okay, you can only write in Arabic cursively. There's no way you cannot join the words, join the letters. So you have to join the letters, and so when you're joining the letters, you can put the loop first, then go write the whole word, and then come back and put the vertical line, just like you did with tin. Alright? Exercises. Some exercises, we have two different types as always, recognition and pronunciation. So let's start with the recognition part, because if you're not recognizing the alphabet, you can't pronounce it. So we see there's one alphabet here. We don't know, we haven't studied an alphabet like that yet, but I'll just tell you for now it's Ghain. What is it? It's Ghain. You will learn that in the next lesson, I think. Yeah, we haven't learned this also. And then there is Wa. This is the alphabet I want to pay attention. I told you it stays the same in each every form. So even though it's in the end form, it looks very similar to the original form, right? This is Wa. So there's absolutely no confusion in Wa. The recognizing of Wa is exactly the same. Even here, first we see a Wa, then Ra, Ya, and Fa. So we can easily see the Wa. It's completely different. Meaning is same, but it's completely unique. Then there is Wad. This is important. This is Wad. It's not Wa. Why? Because this line is not on here. The line of Wa is always on the loop. It's not somewhere behind. If it's somewhere behind, then it's a alif. It's not on the loop, so it's alif. Okay, it's not the part of the alphabet. Because see, if you put it here, if you put a line over here, if you put this line over here, then it looks very similar, right? It looks very similar to Zha. This and Zha looks very similar. That's why you need to understand this is Dod. It's not Zha, it's Dod. Dod will have an alif. Okay, sometimes Dod has an alif, but that's not usually the case. Whereas Zha will always have this vertical line. Okay, so there can be some confusion when you see Dod with alif and when you see Dha, because the word has a loop like Dha, and then the alif can be confused as a vertical line, but it's not a vertical line. Also, another way, I've already explained this before, but another way of noticing is that Dod has this small bump before the alif. Right before the alif, just after the loop, there's a small bump. It's not a whole vertical line, but it's a small bump. This bump can be used to differentiate because Dha has no such bump. Only Dod has this bump. So there are two ways. If you see Dod with an alif, then don't think that's Dha because it has a bump and the line is not on the loop. The vertical line is not on the loop. Okay, so it's just Dod with alif. It's not Dha. Same way you can do with Ta. If you see Sad with an alif, do not think of it as a Ta. As a Ta, because the sword will also have this bump, and the sword line of alif will not be under the loop. It will be different. It will be separate from the loop. Okay. So now let's go back and identify. Wad, alif, mim, ra, sin, ta, alif, sin, ta, alif, again ta, alif, lam, you haven't learned that, sin, wa, alif, lam, mim. Okay, you haven't learned lam and mim yet, but you will learn them soon, inshallah. Now we saw the recognition part. The Zhaa and Ta are pretty unique. The only difference is when the Zod or Sod comes with an alif, then there can be some confusion, but that too problem is solved. Now let's go to the pronunciation part. Pronunciation part. Over here we'll have all sorts of harakat because we learned harakat just last sessions, and harakat means vowels. The Arabic name for vowels is called harakat. Okay. So harakat means all different, fatha, kasra, dhamma. It will have all three of them now. Okay, so ta, fatha, ta, ba, fatha, ba, ta, ba, kha, dhamma. We have learned dhamma is fairly new, so pay attention. Khu, ta, ba, khu. Ta, dhamma, tu. Ra, alif. Ra, tu, ra. Fa, فتحة ف تراث ضا فتحة ضا را ضمة رو ضرو با فتحة با ضربا با فتحة با طا ألف طا با طا طا كسرة طي با طا طي سين ضمة صو با طا طي صو بطاطس 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 ذال ضمة ذو با كسرة بي ذو بي ح فتحة ح ذو بي ح. This is to just see the difference between ظا and ذال, just like we already noticed. And here again, ta and ta. Okay. So now I want you to pause this video and go, and especially the pronunciation part, because the whole objective of this course is pronunciation. So you better go back and pronounce all these words and see if you can pronounce it properly. After you finish that, after you finish pausing the video and going and trying to pronounce at least each and every alphabet, then you come back to me and you see if you have pronounced correctly. You verify. Okay. So now I pronounce this 2 more times. Just pronunciation, because recognition is very easy. You can already see that the va in every single line. It's not here, but over here there's ta and za in every single line except this. But pronunciation is the difficult part, because you have to literally pronounce each and every letter with the vowel, the alphabet with vowel. This is the hardest part. So I want you to practice this pronunciation part at least 2-3 times. Then inshallah you'll be able to do it perfectly. Now I'll repeat this part of the exercise two more times so that you can come back and verify it to me. Ta fatha ta, ba fatha ba, ta ba, kha dhamma khu, ta ba khu, ta dhamma tu, ra alif ra, tu ra. ثا فتحة ثا تراث تراث ظا فتحة ظا را ضمة رو ضرو با فتحة با ضربا با فتحة با طا ألف طا بطا طا كسرة طي بطاطي سين ضمة سو بطاطس ذال ضمة ذو با كسرة بي ذو بي ح فتحة ح ذو بي ح. One more time. طا فتحة طا با فتحة با خا ضمة خو طبخو تا ضمة تو را ألف را تو را ث ثا فتحة ثا تراثا ضا فتحة ضا را ضم رو ضروا با فتحة با ضربا با فتحة با طاء ألف طاء بطاء طا كسرة طي بطاطي سين ضم سو بطاطس ذال ضم ذو با كسرة بي حا فتحة حا ذبح. Okay, so with that we complete the topic for today, Taa and Zhaa. We learned how to pronounce them, we had some exercises, we learned the differences between Taa and Zal and Taa and Zhaa respectively. So we learned all these, and one more thing we learned is that the Arabic vowels are called harakat. This you should pay attention, because in the future I might not be using vowels. I'll be using the word harakat. So you should know that when I'm referring to harakat, I mean vowels. Okay, so all this we learned, and you should please try this pronunciation activity. I'm telling you again, you need to do this pronunciation exercise. Okay, at least 2 to 3 times. That's the only way you will become better. So with that we'll conclude the lesson. If you have any questions, please be sure to comment it below. I'll try my best to answer them. And if you like this video, please be sure to share the channel and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.